45.
I'll make a motion to reopen the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Bob Wood, second by Tammy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, so before we move from the football program improvement plan recommendations, let me just say that the board has asked for and received clarification in or a better understanding, I guess, of how our role as board members and holding all of our activities programs, our athletics, to high standards of excellence when it comes to ethics and the big picture. And just had been some things nagging yet about before we left this all behind. And so I guess just to emphasize that we do have high expectations and that moving forward, it just behooves all of us to ensure that that happens, and we as board members, being the elected officials, are going to be expected to carry that message and to reassure our community and our parents and all of our constituents that that in fact is the mantra of more schools. So the board is all in favor of saying that this is closed now and we're moving ahead. So anybody else have anything else? Otherwise we will move on. All right, so with that we will move to the school calendar. Consider approval of the 2019-20 school calendar in your packets. And Sammy, would you like to share anything?
Craig?
Have to, but
Well, there's just been a lot of back and forth with it all.
enlighten us.
It's a little different than the committee saw at,
Right.
At the conclusion. So this is draft number 3, and this is the one that the administration is recommending to the school board for the 2019-2020 school year. We did have a meeting, and we do allow all of our various groups, so all of our bargaining units, as well as a number of our administrators were present. We went over draft 1 and 2 as administrators, just the administrative team, proposed that to the group. We had, an hour and a half discussion. And I think it was very informational for some people that would like this, but this has an effect on that. The contracts do call for that we have 184 teacher days, and currently the board has set that we will have 172 student contact days. The state statute requires a number of things, such as there was a request, can we start before Labor Day? No, we can't start with students before Labor Day. That's state statute. A few years back, they changed it from the number of days that you were required to have to the number of hours so that they could address that with the school districts that go with longer days and 4-day weeks. And so we do have a calendar, or proposing a calendar that does meet those standards. We do have our first new teachers coming in August, on August 20th, and then our regular staff would be back on the week of the 26th through the 29th. The first day of school is the day after Labor Day. Then down through the process there, you can see it's pretty much the same. We have conferences, elementary and high school conferences at about the same time. One thing this year that for the proposed calendar that we didn't have in the past is because Christmas and New Year's falls on a Wednesday and 2-day weeks are pretty tough. We do have 2 full weeks off at the Christmas break, or I'm sorry, I'm supposed to politically say the winter break.
Okay.
But it's based around Christmas. And so Christmas and New Year's. So classes would resume on January 6th. The end of quarter 2, or the end of the first semester, is on January 17th. And then one thing that we did change, or there's a couple of things that we did change. Last year we had a conference comp day at the end of the year. This year we attached that to the elementary school conferences in March. So the elementary conferences will be on the 5th and the 10th, that Thursday and the following Tuesday. And then the comp day for teachers will be on the 13th. So there'll be no school on March 13th. Then spring break, this year we have two breaks. We have two short breaks because of our band and choir trip. This coming year, we would then have a break that would start on the 8th of April and run through the 13th. So we also call that one spring break, but it is based around Easter. And then based on the way that the Memorial Day holiday fell, and then we are proposing to move graduation up a week instead of having it the Sunday after school is out, that we would have graduation on May 31st, which would be the Saturday after Memorial Day. And then we would, pardon me?
Sunday.
You said Saturday.
Sunday, yes, Sunday the 31st, at 1 o'clock. And we did, previously we had been having graduation at 2 o'clock. We did move it up to 1 o'clock, and we got positive response that because of graduation parties, et cetera, so we continued to have that at 1 o'clock. And then the last student day, seniors would be done, Brent, is that on the?
Friday before Memorial weekend?
The 22nd.
The 29th?
22nd.
22nd, the Friday before, oh, that's, okay, yeah, Memorial Day is that Monday, the 25th. So it would be then the 22nd would be the seniors' last day. And then the last day for all other students would be on the 4th, and the last teacher work day would be on the 5th. So we would be starting then the day after Labor Day, and we'd be done by the 4th of June with graduation on the 31st. Do you have any questions on that? Oh, one other thing, we do have 2 snow days built in, and those are listed at the top on the front page. We have one built in for the 8th of April and one for the 5th of June, so that in the past, the board has forgiven the first day, and that the students have had off. And so staff still need to make that up if they would like to be paid. But then when we get into, and there has been a time in the years that I've been here that we have had more than one, and we have had to have makeup days. So that's when the makeup days would be listed.
Thank you.
Prepared to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar for next year.
I'll second.
Motion by Bob Woods, second by Bob Jensen. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
I guess along those lines, I know there's a lot of students that are interested in whether you're going to forgive the snow day that we did have, or the icy roads day. We didn't have it on the agenda, so we can't ask you to vote on adjusting the calendar for the students at this meeting. But I'm guessing that there are some that would probably like to know.
No.
Depends on how many more we have, right?
Yeah.
Just counting down
Well,
the
again,
days.
generally, the first one has been forgiven
Yep.
for students, not for staff. Staff still make up the time.
For juniors and below probably, but for seniors, they.
Since they're already getting that extra week.
Your kid's not gonna like you. I know, but.
So, do we even need to?
I just threw it out there if you want, if the consensus is that,
I think
we will put it on.
would be that past practice is.
We will put that then on the agenda for next month, to adjust this year's calendar, for students, for that, icy day that we had.
All right.
What about March?
Well, that's why we're doing that one now.
Now and then maybe, okay.
Still have, they're still there.
It's supposed to be getting cold too.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
tonight.
well, let's move into reports and updates. Board member meetings.
I'll make.
Go.
I'll make my first one.
All we're at the
I
leadership
had the
conference.
pleasure last night of listening to that young lady and her cohort Will give their speeches at the AAA Awards banquet last night, and it is such a wonderful experience to sit there and, that's a room full of talented people, in there, and to sit and listen and take notes. I was lucky enough to be a judge, for that. And all I gotta say is for our teachers here, the teachers in the sub-region, oh my goodness. I mean, the stuff that is going on, to see these kids that are active and involved, and they're still out there and they make the time to do that. So it was a wonderful thing. I believe that some emails and that went out today, and so I'll say, unfortunately, we were not at the top, but I will say this, they were right up there. And like I said, it's a tough decision. Certainly the two that won, a young man from Onamia by the name of Sean, and a young lady by the name of Elena from Rush City, took that very, very deserving. Molly certainly presented herself very well and was right up there, I'll say, in those. The last one, the same with Will. They were right up there, but the two that won, as we said, it was quite impressive. They did very, very well, so.
Thanks, Jen.
So,
Having served on that 5A committee previously, and I know Ethan has been a judge previously as well. This is not just for the best volleyball player or for the best academic or the best, this is across all of the various things that happen within a school district. So just to be nominated through the school district is a tremendous honor. And then to go and compete with not only the best within Morris schools, but you're competing with all of the best students within East Central Minnesota. And again, not the best students, but the best arts, the best activities, everything. And so to be in the top 3 in that, pretty phenomenal.
And to try to break down the scoring things of how do you separate out when you're dealing with, let's see, you have this and you have that, and you just have to kind of go in there and you have a panel that gets together saying, the nice part is we were all in the same thing. Here's what you look at. These people are involved in band and choir and some speech and one acts and other plays. And softball, volleyball, hockey. It ran the gamut of different things. But the one thing that came through was certainly the time commitment, the ability that I need to focus on this, and it's really helped me. And I had a nice chat with Annalise, today about that. I really appreciate Elena's story about 8th grade and in cross country, that she copped an attitude as a 13-year-old sometimes. Well, the coach had to pick her up and bring her to the starting line. I really, and I had different things, but that was really something. And I saw a light bulb go on over Annalise's head. So I said, it's not just you, there's other 13-year-olds. But, you grow from those experiences and you learn. So that was really something. So, job well done.
Yes. Anybody else? Any board members?
Sure.
Bob?
Rum River, they met a week ago. It'll be, what do we got, 4 meetings set for this year. They talked about maybe a work session or 2 to do a strategic plan and stuff. Some programs were added, like Ogilvy has a early childhood program that will be run, monies through special ed to help out that program, and I believe Princeton, there's 2 of them on the agenda. It's just creative ways to have the money flow through. Tanya's doing a fantastic job as the director, and Cambridge is still planning on opting out of the program, but with all the numbers increasing that each of the superintendents at the meeting talked about, I can't see that we'll have much difficulty with keeping the program going and flowing. I think that's about all I would say on the Rum River. I did very much enjoy, thanks to the school district for sending us to that conference. I did attend a superintendent search. Fergus Falls, they have their superintendent retiring this year in June, and their timeline, they started their process December 3rd, and they hope to have the person hired by March 11th through their process. And the reason for that date is a lot of times if you're hiring another superintendent from a different district, they have to give several days notice, like 60 to 90 days. So they're in hope of getting it done by June 1st. That's their goal. And it was very interesting. I didn't realize that you got to set all these dates for interviews and everything else, and you do that to begin with because that's part of the open meeting law, and you got to post it. I learned a lot at that session about the open meeting law, and the other session on open meeting laws. I didn't realize that all these different committees that we sit on there has to be
posted, yeah.
Has to be posted for it, and has
Standing committee.
minutes. And if you make a decision, it should probably be passed on to the board in records, and that's the way the attorney was recommending it, and so on and so forth. So I brought an extra set along for our new HR person.
Attaboy.
Thanks for allowing me to go to the conference. It was very, very, very educational.
Yes.
I had something from C
Okay.
as well. I was not able to attend but I'd gotten their update, and actually it really jives with what Governor Walz had said too during the presentation there. With the heavy reliance on voter and school board approved levies to fund schools, the state must reduce the significant inequities in school levy funding due to the varying taxpayer costs for a levy dollar. That's what Governor Walz spoke at the conference about. I'd stayed after to meet Governor Walz too, and more importantly, talk to his staff after that, and to say anything that more school districts can do to assist you with that. If you need a guinea pig, you need somebody to testify, anything, please feel free, contact me, contact us, contact our staff, because we are the epitome of that, of a low property wealth, district. C, that was definitely their parts as well. They've started things up at the Capitol already. They're expected of a $1.5 billion surplus. We're hoping to get it added to the basic formula at $250 per people. Attitude, that's the goal, to get it out there. So that's just kind of that from one of the sessions I attended was at the conference was utilizing social media to the best extent. It was put on by Mankato area schools. Very good job. They've really utilized that, and that's something, that they had said, boy, yes, it's a lot of work, but it's not really. You just need to coordinate, keep the things up and, and going. And so I've got some more information, on that.
And not that I need to go next, but related to that, I attended a breakout done by the Fergus Falls, the current superintendent, on communication. He said, hands down, Facebook is the number one way to communicate. And he too talked about social media and the key just having that person that's in charge of administering.
And just, making sure that.
But that is the way to reach or to get the word
When you're
out.
pushing out information, so you can make sure that you have stuff out there and timely. Even us as board members, Nick and I were talking beforehand about something. I said, I know Caroline knew about it, but I didn't catch it because there's so much noise. There's so many things going on. We have different things going on that if you can get a site that's set up that can, not just from the elementary school, but the junior high and senior high, and so all of us, instead of going, well, one place for this and one place for this and one place for this, if you can coordinate, all of that. So.
And in addition, he did to do weekly columns. And he said, you get a system down. He has everything in a documents file, and basically by week to week to week to week throughout the school year, and then from year to year, he just looks back that week, and a lot of times it's the same things that are happening in about the same time, and that's what his topic is, and he said he has a column in the draft form going all the time. Yeah, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but he felt really strongly about pushing out that information to the community. So social media, Facebook, and then the writing that he did for the newspaper, as well as regular updates to staff and to parents and to the entire community. All you had to do was be signed up to receive this regular update, even as a community member. And this was besides the newspaper itself.
I just want to jump in because it pigtailed on the things that I went to.
This is nice. This is
Well,
going
it works out perfect with that, was that the pushing out of information is very important, but the pulling back of information is just as important in terms of surveying, and not only surveying our community members, but also our faculty, getting information back on what people in the community's tolerances are for taxes and how our staff is engaged in our process. So I went to a couple of different sessions that all had that same theme of, it's great to push out that information, but it's as equally important to collect information back from students, from staff, from the community and all age groups, to get direction on where to go next.
When they were referring to also, if you have a negative thread that gets started on Facebook, if you have people that are monitoring it, to get that addressed in a timely fashion, but then also, it might be not necessarily the negative thread, but it could be, oh, by the way, it's an issue at the elementary school. Principal, they had used an example of someone missed a bus drop off, and for a little one, the principal was there, got in contact with transportation director, got it resolved, it didn't even blow up. It's like, oh yeah, this happened, boom, and it's done. Versus if you don't, and then all of a sudden you start this, and next thing you know, you've got 85 comments and 17 shared. As you address it, that's a positive aspect in as well. Not to get rid of stuff, but to address issues. It is certainly a major means of communication.
And to cap it off, all of that has the purpose of building trust, which is the whole focus of the conference. And the speaker, I went to my own breakout sessions, but I've found myself for the last week talking about trust and the 8 pillars and how to build it. And every interaction, you either build or you destroy trust, and how important trust is in all of our relationships, in board level, my marriage, my work, my everything we do. And that's what one of the things that I took away from it, really opened my eyes up to the importance of and the focus of working on trust.
Any other board members?
Just to recap. It
It
was great. We're really fortunate that the district allows us to go to these things, because there are so many breakout sessions, either of interest to us or of utmost importance because of what we're going through the district, maybe in the immediate moment or will be in the future. We're pretty lucky. The MSBA puts on. It's just fantastic. They put on a great conference. They give us knowledge, and they listen to our concerns, and really a lot of valuable resources for school board members.
And that's our little piece of the staff development money, right? Isn't that what?
Yep, well, we have staff development funds, and there is a certain amount that comes out for the district office and for the board. But in the general fund, we also match that because the statute requires the staff development piece to be led by teachers. Majority of people on there to be teachers, and so the district does put in. I do put a line item in general fund for the NSBA conference every year, so you're covered there.
And speaking of that, thanks for the students. Teacher coming down.
And with that, should we just move on to the board member report?
Sure.
Go ahead, Molly.
So in the whole student council, right now we're busy with Snow Week. We're in the middle of it with formal coming on Saturday. So for Snow Week, we planned dress up days for these 4 days. Tuesday was dress like your favorite meme or vine. Wednesday was wear your favorite ugly sweater. Today was Throwback Thursday, and then tomorrow will be Flannel Friday. And we I think the number of kids dressing up has been a little down since homecoming, but today we saw a lot of people wearing throwback stuff, and then tomorrow we're expecting a lot for Flannel Friday because most people participated in it weekly. So we also decorated our staircases, main staircases, with kind of like photo booths, where we did a background for each of the days so kids could take pictures with their friends or just put some kind of, just add to the school spirit around and kind of liven up the place for this week. Tomorrow we have a pet fest at the end of the day to end the week, and get excited for and games and winter sports and activities. We'll be playing different games, like I know the ski team, girls ski team, and girls basketball are playing volleyball against each other, and boys wrestling, or boys skiing against wrestling is playing basketball. And so there's a lot of people looking forward to that. It's fun. And then we'll also, the juniors in student council made a video to highlight different groups that are going on right now, so that we're really looking forward to seeing that. Formal is Saturday at the Grand Event Center, and we sold the most tickets we have ever. We sold 289 tickets this year, so it will be a packed place.
That's good.
So each year our attendance to formal has been slowly increasing, and this year is just, last year was 254 and now it's 289, so it's really growing. And the theme is Winter in Paris, so yesterday they did decorating at the Grand Event Center and put up an 11-foot Eiffel Tower and started an arch and lamp posts to get and snowflakes and stuff for the wintry feel. And then to go with the school board conference, me and Isaac Balmer and Miss Stevens went down to the school board conference on last Thursday and attended, and we had a lot of fun. It was really interesting to be down there. And one of our breakout sessions we went to was about students on the school board. And that was really interesting to us because we've never known anything except for more as students and how we do things. And it was cool to see how some of the other schools do use their students, and how it's similar. We do things really similar, but they give reports on more than just student council. They give reports on different clubs, like gaming club, and they'll go around to these clubs and National Honor Society, and they give reports for a lot of different clubs. And we have our administration and AD do that, and they don't usually have that. So that was interesting. The second breakout session was not our favorite, but we did learn that Moore is doing pretty well compared to a lot of schools, because it was a panel of students from different schools around the state, and they were asked questions about their school and how they do things. And Mora, there wasn't any schools represented from Greater Minnesota or any rural schools. There was either charter schools and 2 city schools, and so they do things a lot different than we do. But one of the questions they asked the students was, do you feel like there's an opportunity for career exploration? And a lot of kids said no, we have our classes. But then me and Isaac were talking about how here we have so many career choices or things to learn about the career you want to do. We have med careers, we have the CNA thing that's going to start, we have college and career readiness class, we have personal finance, we have Blue Day, where we actually have a day set aside for the college and career. And it's really cool to see how Mora does these things to help build the students into the next stage of life. And we're really fortunate to have that, because I didn't know a lot of schools didn't have these kinds of things. So we got a lot of insight on what we're doing well here. So and then we ended by listening to Tim Walls, and we really thought that was interesting too. So thank you for letting us come join you for the day. We had a lot of fun.
Welcome, and thank you for being there. Okay, buildings and grounds, transportation.
I was asked to keep this short.
Just wrestling today?
IEA will be here on February 11th through the 14th. Well, they'll be here on the 11th to implement our radon testing. We talked about this 3 months ago, finally. And so we're gonna do the short test. It'll be 4 days. I'll push out information to staff about leaving these devices on the walls alone and, doing so that's gonna be, that'll be, I don't know if I'll get the report back by the next board meeting, but we'll keep you updated. Last month I talked about this rebate, Minnesota Energy. We did receive that check, so that's all good and checked off my list, so I'm happy to get that to you. Transportation, we started something new this month. Was it last week, Wednesday? We contracted with a private company that comes and does our random testing for our drivers. In the past, we have a pool of eligible drivers. District office notifies those drivers through Gale, and then they have to come up here after work and give their sample to our nurse. Our current nurse isn't comfortable doing that. There's a lot of issues with our facility, like it's just not up to code with whatever. So then we've been pushing our drivers to either Mora, their First Light Clinic, or Cambridge Clinic, and that was kind of inconvenient. So with the help of Chris McNally, we've got a company that just comes to our bus garage, does all the code verifications and shuts off water and whatever they have to do. We went through that on Wednesday last week, and the drivers absolutely love it. They don't have to come here, they don't have to go there. Everybody gets in the garage, they say U6, whatever gets the random people, they give their sample and away we go. So very thankful, I think, and the drivers really appreciate that less inconvenience, so.
It's the easiest drug test I've ever had to take. I was winter chicken. It went really well. Drivers were really pleased with it. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that got solved.
Yeah,
Because I had
that
heard
was
from a few drivers about their frustration, so thank you.
That worked out well. So if you have any other questions, let me know.
Thank you. And activities community ed update, anything, Greg, or just whatever's in?
Any questions?
All right, we can move on to principals. Mr. Nelson, Mr. Rocky.
Just a big thank you to Town and Country Insurance for their monetary donation of $200 to our HHM fund. It's a very valuable thing that we use for our students, so thank you to them.
Today we had our Katya Reward Day. We had about 60 students. Originally we were gonna go bowling, and then that didn't work out. So then we were gonna see Mary Poppins, and the reviews from students is that's not the kind of movie they would wanna see. So then we're gonna see Glass, and then that sounded like that maybe wasn't the best movie for students either. So we saw Black Panther today, and that was perfect. And that was it.
All right.
Questions?
Elementary.
We already touched on the Native Pride dancers and the Native American dance. We're having a BMX duo come in. That is on January 30th. That's next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's coming up. They are, I think, going to be a lot of fun. Nick said they came to the high school last year. They're just a real positive, sending messages of passion and healthy, and also bike safety awareness they cover. So that should be a lot of fun. We also have Climb Theater coming the 10th of February. They're going to do 2 social emotional learning type plays, one for the primary focusing on self-control, and then one for the intermediate on self-control and then building resiliency. So we have some really fun things coming up. We're going to be very busy, which is a good thing. We also have the spelling bee, Dakota Sand one. So he will be going on to represent Mora on the 5th of February.
All right. Any questions for Brenda?
Oh, I just wanted to point out, we do have 8 pregnant employees at the elementary. But everything's covered.
We saw it.
We have everything covered now, so we're feeling pretty good about that.
That's good.
Yeah. We're being very careful.
Okay, Mr. Schultz, superintendent's update.
One thing I do want to mention on The activities director report is the hockey, girls hockey piece, and I know you've seen a lot of information about that, but just please be aware of that as we move forward. Pine City and Mora, I think, have this love-hate relationship with hockey, and we talk about getting together, and we talk about staying apart, and we talk about getting together, and we're very competitive when it comes to being back and forth, so we'll just keep listening and see if anything comes of it. Let's see, my report, we covered most of this stuff. There is continued interest. Chip and I did get notified about they wanted to do an asbestos investigation or inspection on that piece of property over there south of the bullpen. So just to make you aware of that, we don't have any paperwork done other than a verbal agreement, and we did get a written agreement that said that we were interested to begin, and they didn't begin anything, and so it made it sound like they were gonna be in the ground this fall, and they were gonna be up and in production open by spring, and so we're still, we might or we might not sell that piece, I don't know. Communications committee continues. We are going to be getting information here in the next month or so about logo design and color palettes and that type of stuff. We'll be bringing that to the board. We won't be making anything other than recommendations, and then we'll need to discuss the timeline on what we would like to see for implementation and to what level we would like to see that brought in. And then I think the next big thing, from my perspective, that's going on is February 7th is the work session. Gosh, I think has it been a year and a half, Brent, that you've been attending those meetings with that piece, and so they'll be coming forward with some recommendations from the professional consultant level as well as the community task force representation. So looking forward to the information that's coming from that. We had meet and confer, and something that keeps coming up is that we think things are going pretty well with the facility structure, the maintenance piece up at the other building and the other setting, but here at the high school we still have continuous issues with maintenance, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to that information.
Yes, I think we all are.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
With something that might have been said earlier or something in the back of my brain, football uniforms were due this year. So will we be waiting for the design outfit to come up with that before those things are ordered?
Included in the budget is the dollars for that. There's been nothing approved as far as the design. I'm guessing you're talking about whether it's going to be if there's going to be any Mustangs on there or what the colors.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can hold off if possible.
Till the branding.
Yes, till the branding's done, so that piece can be taken care of. So we don't have to wait 5 more years till it's on a rotation or whatever, so.
I'm not sure, where are we at in that process? Do you know, Troy, have we?
I absolutely don't.
Uh-oh, I shouldn't have brought it up.
Well, you can bring it up. They're ordered.
I had a feeling.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
And we have to, because.
Nope, I just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I thought I should ask.
I won't get them probably until July at the early, if I don't order them in December, you're not gonna.
It just hit me like a ton of bricks when he was talking about it.
Doesn't always work perfectly.
Yeah.
And Ms. Untitled made it very clear that that was something that we could not wait on in order to get.
No, it's fine, I just hit me like a ton of bricks, so.
Yeah, well, that's a part of what the timeline is gonna have to be discussed at the board level. Are you expecting 100% implementation in the fall? And you want us to go out and reorder everything, or is it going to be a transition period, and what that looks like? And I know Scott, a lot of the stuff he has a kicking Mustang on it, and a lot of my stuff is the same way, and I still plan to wear it. So you're gonna see it around. If we don't go with a kicking Mustang, we're still gonna see that around. But as far as all of our uniforms and stuff, we'll have to have that discussion. How quickly would you like to see their number on that?
Yeah, it was just on here, so I thought I should ask.
Oh, it was a great question.
Well, and, you know, I think the helmets that were ordered a few years back came with running Mustangs on them. And that wasn't a school board approved piece. And that's something that we haven't really abided by. When I started here 10 years ago, the district I had come from had just gone through a process where they only allowed 2 different logos, and that was it. And the board at that time didn't really have a strong feeling and said that's okay if we have different things. And there's a little different feeling on the board now, and we've decided to move forward with a branding piece. And so that timeline and what level of implementation, and I remember telling the board 10 years ago, I don't want to be the horse police. You know, I guarantee you that from the school district's perspective, when it comes to ordering things through the school district, that if the board wants us to stick to the whatever, if we end up with a block M and then some type of horse or two, we will stick to that. But when it comes to all of the other various groups that go out, I don't have any really oversight. I don't know if Chris does. I think the coaches might just order a lot of that stuff that the kids get, that like the warm-ups and stuff that you get to keep, you pay for with your own money. And so we haven't been enforcing anything along those lines. And so we'll have to have that discussion. Is that something that the board is going to require that all groups then, when they go out and buy their own stuff, is that going to be something? So there's a lot more to this than just branding and developing, and then it's going to be the implementation is going to be the big piece.
And we have quite a ways to go yet, I think.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I just thought it was an opportunity. That's all I was looking for.
So it sounds like at least a 5-year plan.
Yep, it's a 5-year plan.
She makes things easy.
Yep, it does.
It's very clear now.
All
Yep,
right.
it's very clear.
So, upcoming dates, and the first one there is the work session. Everybody should have that on their calendar for February 7th, 5 o'clock. Most of them you can read. Correspondence will be coming around. Any other board business?
First thing tomorrow.
All right, we'll move to the second open forum. Anybody wish to make any comments at this time or address the board? All right, if not, moved for adjournment. A motion?
No motion.
Second.
Tammy and Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everybody.